Okay, I'm back, everybody. I mentioned in the start of the last video that I was going once again for us to help my niece have some furniture and stuff moved over that she still needed. Though this time I didn't have to sit in the truck alone with Dad. So, that being said, when it came to the actual, went over to my parents' house, gave my mom a little gift. It's a lawn figurine that has a little solar panel thing built into the top of it. And it lights up in the front. It's a cross. It says, Jesus always with you and all that stuff. I also gave her a back scratcher and a back scrubber thing. That's supposed to be easy. So, then left with Dad, me and him in the truck to go over to my sister's to pick up one of my nieces, because my sister lives with her daughters, and the eldest niece was staying the night over there. So she went and came with us, because the rest of the furniture stuff that she's bringing over was over there. So went and got the stuff, put it in the truck, then drove to where she lives. Me, Dad, and her. Then got to where she lives, moved around. Also, there's assembling of a desk thing. It was mainly Dad doing most of that. Then there was the drive back to town, and of course, dropped off my niece at her job. Then went back to my parents in the truck with my dad. And all of this part of the story took 5 hours. Which I would say is less time than it was a few months ago when I helped initially when she was moving in the place, like her bed and stuff, and a bunch of other stuff we were helping move, which was 7.5 to 8 hours of my day, where I was entirely alone in the truck, which keep in mind we still were listening to gospel music the entire truck ride there and back. Though my niece, on both the trip there and back, fell asleep with earbuds in her ears. Just me and Dad, driving in silence with, the sound of gospel music. But yeah, I would say all of what I've mentioned of this story so far for this second time going to help. The first time was 7.5 to 8 hours. This time it was only 5 hours. But then at the end of the trip, the end of that 5 hours, me and Dad are in the truck, and we have just pulled into the driveway at my parents'. After that, the car is then turned off. There is no music at all. And then me and Dad are sitting in the truck for an hour and a half, sitting in a parked truck, debating the Bible, particularly the book of Revelations, and the end of the world, and everyone's going to die, and also I need to be a better Christian, I need to listen more to God, and it's like, there comes a time when God won't keep calling sinners and to turn to God, and it's like, so that was an hour and a half of sitting in a parked car having that discussion. So that makes for 6.5 hours total of my day off spent doing something basically out of the kindness of my heart, even though I fully knew about the circumstances I would feel, I don't know, uncomfortable about. Don't get me wrong, I believe in God very, very strongly. But do feel a bit insulted on the way he is about that shit. Don't get me wrong, I don't hate him. I wish the best for him. I want to get along with him. And here's the thing, I believe in God. I believe in God and Jesus very strongly. I read the Bible. But I do dislike the fact that my dad basically speaks to me of condescending ways, if like, it's, well, you need to turn to God or you go to hell and all that stuff. It's like, okay, it doesn't seem very... Also, there's the fact that when it comes to a lot of stuff, like he does, like... And here's the thing, he doesn't even know I'm bisexual. He doesn't even know that. He doesn't even know. He's literally just on, I need to walk more with God and listen more to God and get right with God more and more and more. It's like I believe in God. I think God is good. I mean, I agree with that. I agree. It's good to read the Bible. And I'm glad that he reads the Bible and he believes in God. That's good as well. But I do dislike that he's a bit condescending about it and overbearing and judgmental. And the fact that there are some things that I want to do in life that I'm pretty sure he'd have a fucking conniption about and go completely insane over. Never mind all of that. In general, let's be clear. I don't hate him. And as much as I said, all of you, like, okay, it's a little bit awkward to try to lift and carry certain things because I'm not jacked. You know, he's not exactly jacked either. Though I do think he kind of looks like Arnold Schwarzenegger, like his face. So, if you want to think what my dad looks like, just imagine Arnold Schwarzenegger, but like 5'8" and black. So technically, you know, I'm 5'11", so I'm taller than him. And again, he's technically my stepfather. He's my stepdad. But I consider him my dad. I've always had more respect for him than I did my biological father. Though heck, maybe I'm so sweet because as an infant, my biological father would give me bottles of sweet tea. Who knows? Sweet tea's nice. I'm just saying, on the one hand, I don't necessarily dislike having a discussion about God. I mean, I'm the kind of person who get carried away and have a 7-hour-long argument yelling at my wall, talking to myself about the church and the Bible and all that stuff. You know, I don't remember a single day of my life in which I haven't, you know, thought on God or prayed in God or believed in God. It's like, I have believed in Jesus for every day that I know of in my life. Like, since my earliest memories, I have believed in God and loved God. And yeah, part of that discussion is like, he's like, oh, you need to love God more. You need to like, it's like, do you really love God? It's like, I don't do any, like, it's not like I'm some, it's not like I'm going out there like smoking meth and stabbing people or something. I mean, if I accurately describe my life, it is I work a full-time job in manual labor, work overtime, and then I play video games, watch cartoons, record Let's Plays, read the Bible, and sleep. Try to exercise and play guitar and draw. And talk to myself. It's like... I kind of feel like... it's uncalled for to basically talking down to me as if like I'm like, it's like you're a sinner, and they're like, okay, for what? And here's the thing, like I said, I don't hate him. And heck, a man's 77 years old. And heck, I'll say this. He was out of breath trying to move the stuff. I mean, he's, moving the stuff and driving the truck for my niece to move the stuff and putting that desk and stuff together. And I tried to help him a bit here and there, but really he was doing most of the work in terms of lining stuff up to, put furniture back together. Helped him where I could, but I'll say this, I feel bad for him. Like, he's getting out of breath, starting to see more darker circles around his eyes, and of course, it's just there's times where he had to struggle, like when he got down on the ground to get to areas where the screws were in certain spots that he's doing. I was getting down there too, try to move stuff and try to help him out there, but there's 2 times he had to struggle to be able to stand back up. Don't get me wrong, I don't hate him. Albeit I do have certain disagreements on things. And granted, I do have my own psychological issues. I mean, you guys know that. I mean, I've talked about it on the channel before, certain things that have happened. I mean, my marriage was not good. That went very poorly. But only so many times I can tell you guys I have a 3-inch scar on my right arm to remember my last Christmas being married to my ex-wife by, and I've spent most of my life alone. Heck, when it comes to me and relationships, I got rejected by thousands and thousands of women IRL. Face to face. Every girlfriend had cheated on me, and my wife was an adulterous, psychotic, abusive, child neglecting, psychotic person. We've gone into more detail on that. And granted, there are some concerns with my early family life, Both my parents, even Dad, drank way too much when I was much younger, and then they stopped drinking, which is good. I'm glad they did. I don't want either of them to ever go back to drinking. But as far as Dad becoming a deacon, and most of my time in high school was I'd be hearing him get up at 3 a.m. and type out the Bible on a typewriter. And again, don't get me wrong, I believe in God very strongly. But I kind of feel like he's condescending, overbearing, overly critical, and just... I'm pretty sure if I ever decide to be openly bisexual and date, air quotes, gay partner, I'm pretty sure he'll probably turn violent. And then again, I understand some aspects of certain things are a bit of paranoia on my part. Heck, there was one time, far as Mom asked me to stop by. It was actually on the Valentine's Day. I came over. Mom and Dad are just sitting in the living room watching an Equalizer movie. Is that a movie like Denzel Washington or something? Come in, sit on the couch, sit there for 20 minutes. We're all just in absolute silence, just watching a movie. And granted, I know this is an unreasonable expectation, But part of me is just like sitting there worrying, like, are they going to suddenly try to kill me? Which again, I understand is an extremely paranoid thought. But, you know, we'll just be honest. And again, that's not meant to be an insult against them. It's just, I tend to be paranoid in terms of towards everyone, just because I had a lot of people be really mean to me in the past. Granted, some of that is issues in regards to my childhood, in regards to my parents. They kind of had some anger issues. I remember quite a bit as a young child, like 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 years old, them arguing and yelling at each other, and me hiding like the Binding of Isaac curled in a ball on my toy chest. Because that was just my go-to with that. Spent most of my time playing with my toys and stuff, but I was like, But again, I can't really complain. Oh no, it's fine. Like, that's not like what things were all the time. It's just, there's certain things where just people had a bit of a temper on certain things. Then again, it's just, I would say a small fraction, though that one Valentine's thing I was talking about is like, after 20 minutes, my mom gave me a little box, like the little caramel pecan candies. I said thank you, stayed in our 10 minutes, and then left and went home. And I'll say this, I love my mom very, very, very much. In fact, I would say I love my mom more than any other person on the planet, and I trust my mom more than any other person on the planet. That being said, I do have a bit of paranoia and distrust in people. Then again, let's be clear. My parents did have some anger issues, and there's numerous times that Dad has said various things to me that were very, very rude. To the point that if I repeated the things he has said to me to random people, like if I went to Walmart and said some of the things he said to me to them, people would probably just punch me in the face. And again, I'm not saying that as a way of saying I'd want to like threaten or hurt them in any way. I'd have no desire to hurt them or anything. Like, in general, like, heck, Dad, like a hip surgery a few years ago, and I actually legitimately felt concerned and worried about him. I do actually, consider him my dad. Always have. But it's just, there is a slight distrust of him based off of their actual behavior and the way they behave and think, and to a degree that there is some rational behind an expectation that at any time this person might just start yelling at me or become violent. And again, I know, to a large degree, it's a bit unreasonable on my part. But then again, between that and just, I've had a lot of negative experiences with a lot of people, so it's not like my paranoia and distrust is, out of blue air, like what's the saying? It's not like it's out of left field or like whatever the expression is. I mean, again, my marriage was fucking shitty. Like every day, like, hey, let's come home every day to somebody who basically just yells and is pissed at you, and it's just lots of situations. I mean, heck, when I was in school, I got bullied a lot. But again, I know that was decades ago. But it's the fact that it was a decade of basically, granted, like I said, eased off the last couple of years of high school and all that stuff, and people basically just ignored me or were okay with me. But for a long time, it was like a decade straight of being told hundreds and hundreds of times a day to go fucking kill myself every day for 10 years. And people throwing things at me and spitting on me and shoving me. And numerous times of groups of people attacking me. And of course, just in the middle of school, like, okay, here's people drop kicking you. Here's people attacking you. Here's people taking a rope and choking out. Here's people trying to stab you. Like, here's people trying to, it's on and on. It's like, and of course, like, when I was very young, There were numerous times in which I would have hyperventilation attacks, which is like an extreme form of a panic attack, but it's where you're breathing incorrectly from anxiety, so your lungs are getting way too much oxygen, and then you start basically blacking out because, you know, your brain can't function and you're becoming dizzy and collapsing. And like I said, numerous times, just say, like, oh, here's a group of people beating the fucking shit out of you. Like I said, I know I've mentioned a few times, like, heck, when I was 13, back behind a fucking Quickie Mart, like, even ran by an actual Indian person. So it actually makes you guys think of The Simpsons. Like I said, it was like a good 45 minutes. 5 people getting punched over and over. Pretty sure in the span of that 45 minutes, I got punched several thousand times. Kicked in the face, kicked in the ribs, stomped on, slammed into the bricks, whatever. In general, I'm just kind of... like, I'll say this. Like, if I ever have an actual relationship ever again, which who knows if that'll ever happen. Let's see, I'm bisexual, but at the same time, it's like, can't really be gay, because Dad would probably become violent and start screaming and probably become violent toward me, and then heck, maybe him and Mom would have an argument over that, and then maybe they'd kill each other or something, which I know it sounds like an absolutely crazy psychotic thing to worry about, but I did just get done having an hour and a half long debate about the Bible sitting in a parked car after spending 5 hours helping my niece move furniture. 1 hour of that, 1 hour plus of that, sitting in a truck listening to gospel music. Though after I got out of that truck and went to my car, I then drove to a fast food restaurant / gas station area. And I got a bunch of cheeseburgers and fast food and stuff and a bunch of energy drinks. Then I came home and I drank multiple energy drinks while eating cheeseburgers and watching VTubers react to cyanide and happiness. And despite the fact that I'm pretty sure I have an unreasonable amount of caffeine in me at the moment, I don't feel the least bit hyper. I feel, I don't know, how does it sound to all of you how I feel? What energy or emotion does it sound like I have? Alright, some of the bi thing. And of course, when it comes to women, in general, like I said, I don't hate women. I don't wish any harm on people. Heck, I still think women are awesome. Particularly, I like boobs and cute faces. Like, oh, I'd prefer, if I do date a woman in the future, I'd prefer her to be sane, you know? But aside from the fact that I'm just generally a very ugly person, that, you know, Cthulhu reads Lovecraftian horror about me. So aside from the fact that I'm extremely ugly, my testosterone has fallen off a cliff, and I'm poor, and I work all the time. So aside from the fact that there really are no women for me to date, and this economy is kind of shit. Also, there's like 20 different apocalypses coming. The world's ending. I gotcha. I mean, heck, I basically had an hour and a half long discussion of my dad telling me I'm not taking the end of the world seriously enough. And I'm just saying, like, if you're talking to a man who has basically never done anything illegal, never gotten in trouble with the law, treats everyone with kindness, was an honors diploma in high school, had a 4.0, straight A's, took calculus, physics, chemistry, Eagle Scout, has worked since he was like 14 years old, with like a few exceptions, like in between this job and the previous job, I didn't have a job for like half a fucking year. You know, I was living off my fucking savings. I treat everyone with decency. I've believed in God since my earliest memory. I have prayed to God every day of my entire life. And I've believed in God my entire existence. I've spent majority of my life alone and being told how worthless I am and how much nobody fucking cares about me or wants me. Every girlfriend I've ever had cheated on me. And then my wife also was cheating on me and psychotic and mistreating me and our child. And I got divorced, even though I didn't do anything wrong, even though honestly I'm thankful as fuck I'm divorced because it got me away from, well, honestly, somebody who would have going to kill me. I was going to, if I hadn't gotten divorced, I'd be dead. I would have been dead before the point in the timeline I even started the YouTube channel. Let's see, other than that, I'm alienated from my son. I pay child support for my son, and yet I'm alienated from him. I haven't been able to give my son a hug in 2.5 years. I have 2 years of Christmas presents and Christmas cards, and 3 years of birthday presents and birthday cards just sitting around. For the first fucking 5 years since the divorce, I spent like a couple hours every day sitting in my son's room talking to his stuffed animals. Though he was at least coming over on the weekends for the first 1.5 years of that. Then there was a few years of just talking to him, and then he coming over for a few years, and then it's spent 2.5 years of... Then again, I haven't even been able to talk to him for like well over a year. So I haven't even been able to talk to him on the phone or face chat or anything or hear from him. Like the city that him and his guardians live in. I mean, I don't even know if maybe that city doesn't even exist anymore. Maybe maybe everyone, that city just fell off the earth or something. Maybe the Mandela catalog effect just blipped half of the world out of there. I don't know. I've been alone since my divorce, and I've been alone most of my life. And the little bit of time I have had anyone in my life, everyone has betrayed me and stabbed me in the back. And I don't think I've ever met anyone in my entire life who thought I was attractive at all. Everyone thinks I'm worthless and disgusting and I should just die. And every relationship, I thought those people thought I was attractive. And then, of course, at the end of every relationship, everyone's been very clear to tell me, no, did not find you attractive, was just lying to you. Were literally verbatim, literally telling me they were just manipulating me and that it was easy. Ha 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 ha. And again, it's like, when it comes to relationships, like, okay, what do I want in a relationship? 2 things. 1, a close friendship with someone I feel safe with, who respects me, actually cares about my thoughts and feelings, would never hurt me or betray me, and is, actually cares about me. 2, I want them to be someone I find attractive, who finds me attractive, and we have lots of sex and lots of affection. The end. It's not that hard. Well, I guess I also wouldn't want them to have STDs. But in general, when it comes to relationship, it's like, okay. It's like, can't date guys, because then dad will go ballistic. And I really don't know what to expect other than I know not good. And then when it comes to, then not that he was ever approving of women. It's like, oh, if you date a woman, you should already be married to her. It's like, it's against God to date a woman if you're not married to her. Says the man who cheated on every wife he had and was a severe alcoholic at one point. I mean, I remember my fucking early childhood. Seems kind of hypocritical to be fucking bitching at me, the guy who just works a full-time job, talks to himself, and watches cartoons, and plays video games. I feel like it's a bit disingenuous to compare that. But I'm just saying, maybe the person with severe PTSD from like 100 different things, who is completely alone, maybe, just saying, maybe we don't talk down to and condemn the depressed guy who might have autism and ADHD. I don't know. Not that he'd have any clue about that. I'm just saying, maybe an hour and a half long discussion about how I am a sinner and I need to turn more to God, and I'm not taking the end of the world seriously enough, and everyone is going to die, and I need to take the death of everyone in the entire world more seriously. And I need to be thinking about the end of the world in the book of Revelation every waking moment of my life for all time. And I'm not taking it seriously enough, and I need to be more in tune with God, and it's like, I kind of feel like it's not very... And again, I mean, I don't mind having the discussion. But when most of our interaction is either one, him not talking to me, or when he does talk to me, it's always criticism, insult, there's something wrong with me, work, doing stuff, or just God, and it's always God in ways that it's like there's something wrong with me. I'm just saying, I don't feel like that's very helpful. And again, don't get me wrong, I believe in God. I believe in Jesus. And not even because of my dad. You know, I simply believe in God because that's how I feel about it. If anything, the way he is about things would be the thing that would make me not want to be in tune with God. But it's more so along the lines of this. I believe in God, but I just don't feel like him or the pastor of the church he goes to have anything to do with God. Like, I feel like they don't really have any connection to God or Jesus. Because I feel if they did, you know, they wouldn't exactly be the way they are. And like I said, he doesn't even know anything about me. I would say being bisexual, but I don't know if it even counts as being bisexual if I haven't even actually dated anyone that doesn't possess a vagina. But like I said, it's like, okay. Though to be fair, I like boobs. I like cock. Can't say I'm really attracted to vaginas. Like, don't get me wrong, I always liked the swimsuit model things of women with the big tits and all that. Always thought that was hot and attractive. But can't say I was ever really into vaginas. Don't get me wrong, I mean, I've fucked vaginas. I've enjoyed that. I've eaten vaginas out. But pretty sure I'd rather suck a dick than eat a vagina. But at the end of the day, is this. It's kind of like things with boobs. Big tits are nice. But at the same time, you know, any size boobs are nice. You know, A cups, D cups, boobs are boobs. Boobs are nice. Though to be fair, like Ivy from Soul Calibur 2, awesome tits. She looks like Kaoru Shiromi from this game. Or Kaoru Nagisa. Or Sare, that VTuber. I'm just saying this. Someone that looks like Kaoru Shiromi, or someone that looks like Ivy from Soul Calibur 2, or someone who looks like Kaoru from Evangelion. All of them are equally nice to me in terms of attractiveness. But at the end of the day, like, what's the main thing I want in a partner? I want someone attractive that's a good person who's nice to me. You know, someone I can feel safe around. Though to be fair, any part of this discussion, whoever I date, I don't really plan to talk to them about. It's like, it's not really a conversation to have, like, about like, okay, I got bullied a lot in school. That's true, but in general, that's something I would probably try my best to avoid discussing with people. Granted, there are people, like, my ex-wife knew that I got bullied a lot in school, but to be fair, she knew that before we got together, and it was other people that told her that. People that, you know, knew about it firsthand. So I myself never volunteered that information. Because, you know, it's very personal. It's in general stuff you really don't talk about. But it's just like, okay, best way to put it is this. I'm fine with either a guy or a girl as long as it's someone I'm attracted to. But most of all, I want someone who's kind. I want someone who's actually, you know, a loving, supportive partner. I want someone who's sane. I want someone who's I can feel safe around. And I want someone who's like doting, you know, uncritically fond of me. I want someone who actually likes me. I mean, in general, looking back at things, I'm pretty sure everyone just views me with fucking contempt. It'd be nice if there was somebody who actually adored me. Someone who actually loved me. Someone who actually cares about me. Someone who actually likes me. Both in terms of likes me as a person and sees value in me and also finds me attractive. And, you know, would never do anything to hurt me and actually cares about my thoughts or feelings. So, yes, of course, there's an interest in sex, and, I mean, if I had committed a relationship, yeah, sex, I'd probably be having sex with them every day. Then again, I take 15 showers a week. I'd probably try to have them hop in the shower a couple times with me, too. I haven't gone swimming in like a decade. But it's just... But yeah, when you look at the bisexual thing, it's like, okay, can't date a guy because my dad will, I don't know, go insane and probably violent and yell a lot. And can't really date a woman, well, aside from the fact that I'm ugly as fuck and undesirable and no woman wants me. Aside from that, because even back then, even when I understood that back then, I was still trying. It was more so the trauma happened from my marriage that made me just want to not really try anymore. And even then, I still tried a bit here and there in the first couple years afterwards. Just occasionally, I'd see a cute, like I remember mentioning you guys in a community post, was then I decided to stop at an Olive Garden, and there's a cute waitress there. Heck, I remember one time I went to Applebee's, I told you guys about that. Though it turned out the girl at Applebee's was gay. She's not only a lesbian, but she was married to her wife. However, I then had like an additional like 20 minutes of talking to the married lesbian lady, talking about various animes, because they were both big anime nerds too. So I was just trying to recommend a bunch of anime and video games to them that I thought they would like. I'm pretty sure I was wearing a Hunter x Hunter shirt there too. I mean, I guess it might sound a bit odd that in general I'm like, I feel worthless and undesirable and that nobody could ever love or care about me. Also, I don't remember what a hug feels like. And that's the thing, when it comes to... I want both non-sexual affection and sexual affection. I mean, one, I want, like, the non-sexual stuff. I mean, I want someone who give me a bunch of hugs and tell me, like, I have value and I'm cared about and I'm accepted for who I am and all that, and that they love and care about me. I also want someone... Like, if they have boobs, I can play with their tits all the time. And sex, and... I don't know if it's inappropriate to list off various, like, positions and stuff. But in general, also, I like cuddling. But also, I like boobs. Like, I'll say this. If I'm dating a cute girl and she's got big tits, I'm going to be playing with and sucking on her tits every day. Heck, if I'm dating a cute guy, I'm going to be playing with and sucking his dick every day. Heck, if I meet a futa, there was actually, like, Sylvia from Konosuba, I'll do both. Because then in general, it's like, it's like, at the end of the day, okay, I just want someone I'm attracted to. I don't really care too much about gender. Though the big issue about gender is, like I said, one, if I date a guy, my dad will, I don't know, probably kill people. And then if I date a girl, well, in general, I feel a bit traumatized by the whole marriage thing and everything that happened, to the point that vaginas are actually a turnoff at this point. Because, let's be clear, I don't want to go through another divorce. I don't want to be stuck in another legally binding government contract, keep me bound to someone who commits domestic violence and rape and domestic abuse and who is violent against me and neglects our child and commits adultery. Like, I don't want to be stuck in a government contract that forces me to live with someone who's cheating on me. I don't want to be stuck in a government contract that forces me to live with and take care of someone who's fucking violent to me and mistreats me, and then all of society fucking blames me for it and calls me a deadbeat and say, oh, well, you're a guy, so you must have done something to deserve that. And yes, because I just deserve to be treated like shit, or to be just no one fucking care about. I'll tell you this. Yes, I tend to be a very lonely person. I tend to be someone who very much wants affection and love. But at the same time, I'll tell you this. I was never more alone than when I was married. Like, I would rather be alone for the rest of time than ever be married or any kind of relationship with anyone like my ex-wife ever again. And the end of the day is this, when it comes to women, is this. Even if the person starts off okay, after all, I got love-bombed at the very start of that relationship a whole lot, which I'll say this, to somebody who was used to the idea that I'm going to die alone and no one could ever fucking love me, and just giving up on ever having a wife or family because I really wanted to have children and to have a family, to the point that, again, the day my son was born is still the happiest day of my life. And I tried everything I could to be the best dad I could in the whole world. I only failed in two regards. One, I'm not rich. I would have probably been a better father if I had more money, I guess. Two, his mother became a demon and is absolutely psychotic, to the point that I kind of feel so traumatized over my marriage that I don't want to date anyone with a vagina. Again, I don't hate women, but it's kind of hard to want to have a sexual relationship with a woman when I don't feel like I could feel safe around them. So again, I don't wish any harm on women. Heck, it's not like I'd ever want to wish any harm on any women. I'm not trying to say anything bad about women. It's like, women don't deserve, no one deserves to be mistreated. But at the same time, if I get in a relationship with a woman, okay, if suddenly she starts cheating on me or being violent, does anyone else in society ever fucking care about me? Or what happens to our child? That's another thing. I don't want to go through another divorce. I don't want to be stuck in another government contract forcing me to live with someone who hates in me and yells at me and fucking insults me and verbally and physically abuses me every fucking day. And I don't want to have to be in a family where I'm in a marriage where okay, I'm going to be at work and more than likely my spouse is criminally neglecting our child. and no one else in the rest of society cares. And of course, like, it's not like police or anybody would help you in that situation, because at that point they would just take her side, at which point, well, it just removes my ability to do anything positive to help, at which point it literally takes, if I try to get help in that situation, all it does is take away any assistance in terms of helping the child. So, the parent who actually cares about the child is removed from the situation, and the parent that's actually a fucking threat is now allowed to do whatever the fuck they want. So that's basically sentencing my child to death at that point. And it's like, another thing is this, at the end of, it's like, why would I want to get married to a woman if I know for certain that either it's going to end in divorce, or it's going to end in me being legally bound to somebody who's cheating on me and violent and yelling all the time, and I don't feel safe living with. Like, I feel like I wouldn't describe the feeling I have toward my ex-wife as hate, more so just fear, or even just a visceral grossness, which again, it's a weird feeling, because I remember at one point, like, marrying her and actually, loving her and feeling like I'd feel safe around her, and that, oh, here's someone who actually loves and accepts me. Here's someone I can trust. And then it's like, oh no, this person's the biggest liar in the world. This person lies about this and lies about that and lies about this. They yell all the time. They're violent. And it's just, okay, let's take the person and that you thought you could feel safe around and trust, and now it's like, okay, like, I'm pretty sure I would feel more scared. Like, I would feel more of a trauma response if I looked out my front window or my front door peephole and saw my ex-wife than if I saw the fucking peanut monster from, like, fucking SCP Foundation. Don't be wrong, that would still be very terrible to look out my door and, like, seeing, like, Freddy Fazbear or Hitler or something, Obviously, very bad. You look out there and there's a giant, like, 12-foot tall locust that's eating people. Yes, obviously still terrifying. I would probably still pee myself and, well, be absolutely terrified more than words could describe. Getting off track. Main point being is this. I don't want to see or talk to my ex-wife ever again. I feel physically gross, disgusted, and just, I don't know, extreme agitation at the thought of her. Like, the thought of my ex-wife grosses me out and disgusts me. The thought of my ex-wife makes me feel physically unwell. The thought of my ex-wife makes me feel that feeling you have, like, you're reading a fucking creepypasta or a horror movie. Like, it's just, I've gone into detail about stuff, like, there's hundreds of things I could talk about in regards to that marriage, but it's just, it's literal PTSD. Granted, I have a lot of that from a lot of things. I'll say this. The only two people I can say I actually love on this planet, I love my mom and I love my son. Though I haven't been able to see my son in person for like 2.5 years or something. And I haven't even been able to see him, face chat him, talk to him on the phone, or even hear his voice, or have any communication with him for over a year. And I have no indication of when or if ever I'll ever see or talk to my child ever again. I've spent majority of my life alone, and everyone I've ever trusted has betrayed me. I've been completely alone since my divorce. And like I said, to a large degree, the idea is I don't really want to be with a woman, because at the end of the day is this, I don't want to go through, like, I don't want to have another child taken away from me. I don't want to have to worry about how the spouse is treating another child. Plus, the way the economy is nowadays, how would I ever be able to take care of more kids? Even if I wasn't paying child support for my son. Like, even if I suddenly didn't have to pay that money, I still don't think I could afford to have a family. Like, heck, part of me think, like I've mentioned you guys before, like if I ever get pets, I'd want 2 of them so they can talk to each other and not be lonely while I'm at work all the time. I'd name them Lace and Iris, like from Dragon Spirit the New Legend, the NES game. And I'd either get 2 dogs, 2 cats, or 2 bunny rabbits, and they could be friends. But in general, like looking at things, I don't know if I could even financially afford 1 dog. And like I said, I'm better now in regards to my son. I only spend like 15 or so minutes a day in there talking to his stuffed animals. It's just, I don't want to lose another family. I don't want to have another child taken away from me. I don't want to have to worry about the well-being of another child if my spouse, if their mother is not a good person. I don't want to go through another divorce. I don't, like, even if it's, because I'll tell you this, even the situation where you're married to someone who's psychotic and horrible, to where going through a divorce is actually a good thing in hindsight, the experience of actually going through the divorce, even under the best of circumstances, it's not pleasant. It's not an experience I want to go through again. And I certainly, above all, I don't want to be in a legally binding contract with a psychotic, abusive, adulterous person. Like, I don't want to be in a legally binding contract with someone who's cheating on me. I don't want to be in a legally binding contract with someone I think, is going to try to kill me in my sleep. And like I said, I understand I do have a bit of paranoia about things. But that's because I can look back and state 100+ times that people have, been very violent to me and tried to do. I mean, people have tried to kill me. I've had lots of people just beat the fucking shit out of me. I mean, I think it's understandable that has a bit of a lasting effect. Not that whoever I date of any gender, like I said, in general though, can't date a guy or else my dad would go insane and kill people. And probably me and whoever I date and everybody else, I guess. Maybe I'm worrying too much, but the fact of the matter is this. Realistic or not, it is a concern on my mind. Though to be fair, again, did have an 1.5 hour long debate on the Bible where most of the time was spent where I was told that I need to take the end of the world more seriously and I'm a bad person. Which, again, I probably shouldn't. I know this sounds a bit like self-pity here, but I'm just saying, maybe the guy with severe depression, maybe don't, I don't know, tell him he's a bad person and that apparently he's not living his life well enough for God. Like, you need to be more in tune with God. More like, what more do you want me to do? It's like, oh, you need to, like, oh, if you're really reading the Bible, you should be living right in the eyes of God. I'm like, it's okay. Thanks for the, I don't know, the condescension. And again, I mean, I suppose he means well or something. I mean, like, I don't hate him. I don't wish any harm on him. Like, I don't want him to die. But at the same time, I just feel so fucking uncomfortable with everything. And to a large degree, I feel like just... like, even if I were to try to play this video for him, like, I feel the only response he would have would be unreasonable anger and hatred, and he'd be violent over it. Like, I feel like he would just be very, very offended over it. Rather than, I don't know, concerned about how I feel. Like, even if how I feel toward him, like, somehow is offensive to him or something. Offensive to him or not, it's not the purpose of why I'm saying this. The purpose of me thinking this is the fact that, can you just acknowledge that, you know, all of this shit kind of bothers me? Like, and it's just, I don't know, I just feel like, it's like, oh, it's the depressed guy who's 39 years old, has never done anything wrong to anyone ever, works a full-time job and overtime, lives alone, has been completely alone since his divorce. His son was taken away from him, he's alienated from his child, he pays child support, but he still can't see his child. He's completely all alone in the world and talks to himself. Let's tell him he's a bad person and that you need to take the end of the world more seriously and everyone's going to die. And I'm not a good person. And I need to turn more to God and walk more with God and I need to pursue God more. And it's like, I don't feel like that's very, I don't know. I feel like you're being not very self-aware of one, kind of talking down to a person who's not a bad person. And also, perhaps being very emotionally supportive or helpful to someone who is perhaps not feeling the happiest about things. You know, heck, it's not like I need everyone in the world to fucking validate me or need everyone. I just, you know, if I had one, like, relationship partner, like if I had someone to rely on, that'd be nice. Again, I really don't care about gender. I just want, hey, this person's cute and they're nice to me and we have lots of sex and they actually care about me and understand me and accept me. And they also give me lots of hugs. Though, honestly, not only would I not, whoever I date, regardless of gender, like, again, like I said, like bisexual, but can't really date a guy because dad will go insane. And can't really date a girl because I'm so fucking traumatized by my marriage that I'm like, I don't want to go through that again because I can't really... I don't really feel safe around women. Like, I don't hate them. I don't wish any harm on them. But in general, just, I can't think in my brain about a date or a relationship with a woman without correlating that in my mind with all of the bad, horrible things that have happened to me. Like, literally, it just reminds me of all the traumatic things that have happened in my life. And again, I know there were some things like the one thing I said about my parents are worrying about certain things, but keep in mind, they did react violently and aggressively when it came to certain things in the past, especially younger. And in general, they do occasionally display a bit of a temper for no reason, over nothing, which is concerning. But again, I would say majority of my paranoia stuff, maybe only a few percent applies to them. And some of it's the relationships issues I've had. But even then, I'd say majority of stuff is stuff beyond all of that. Like, a lot of people, and again, a lot of stuff was decades ago. But in general, like, every day, like, everywhere I go, I kind of feel like everyone hates me. Everyone, like, I go at work or at Walmart or anywhere, and I just can't help but feel like, you know, that person can't stop thinking about how much they hate me and how disgusting I am and how much they wish I was dead. Which, again, I know sounds unreasonable, but one, I can see the way people look at me. 2, I remember the way people treated me. It's not like it's entirely like, okay, this low self-esteem and paranoia is purely from like out of the blue. Like, no, like there's little hundreds if not thousands of real life examples of things of where people have been violent to me. To the point that it's just ingrained at a subconscious level that it's what I expect from people. Like anytime, if I'm at work talking to somebody, I'm worried as I'm having the conversation with them, like what if the person I'm talking to suddenly just starts screaming at me? If I'm at Walmart, what if the person next to me just suddenly picks up like some of the cans of their groceries and starts trying to beat me to death with it? Yes, I understand. Very paranoid thought to have. Yes, very emotionally unhealthy, but here's the thing. It's founded off of experience. And in general, like I said, regardless of what gender whoever I date in the future is, I don't really plan to talk to them about any of this stuff. Like, I wouldn't want them to, like, fucking pity me or some shit. Then again, like, I'm the kind of person, like, if something's wrong with me, I'm more likely to want to just try to hide it. Heck, like I said, when I got the 3-inch scar on my right arm, I wore long sleeves for 3 months so no one could tell. I was still trying to make that marriage work. I didn't want to lose my son. And I felt that even if the divorce was going to be, like, we're going to eventually get divorced at some point, you know, maybe at least wait until he's older, and at least by then, you know, if his mother's negligent or something, it's not going to get him killed or something. So at least if I can keep the marriage together for a bit, I can at least make sure I'm there to protect him. And I can, like, manage the collateral damage. You know? And also I kept just blaming myself. Like, you know, everything that's going wrong and how she's behaving, it must be somehow my fault. Which again, I know is an unreasonable way, but again, low self-esteem as well as, well, generally over the course of life, being used to the idea that bad things happen. So you deal with it and just, there's nothing you can do about it, so you just, your option is do what you have to survive. Your options are die or don't die, and so you do what you have to. Then again, I'm also the kind of person that if you were to be around me and you were to raise your hand in the air around me, I'd probably flinch because some part of me on a subconscious level would think that you're going to hit me. Though I would try my best to hide that and also try my best to force myself not to flinch, because I feel like that would be a conversation I don't want to have. Like, I feel like if I were dating someone of either gender and they suddenly, like, were to ever, like, raise their arm in the air, like, stretch or something, and I were to, like, flinch as if, you know, I'm reacting to, like, okay, they're going to hit me or something. I mean, them suddenly noticing that, like, hey, the person you're dating has obviously some sort of trauma issue to where they've been through abuse and shit, enough to where if a person raises their arm around them, they're going to flinch as if, you know, they're expecting violence. Like, I feel like that's a conversation I don't want to have. And I feel like whoever I date of either gender, whether they be a guy or a girl, I feel like they would think less of me. I mean, most people would probably think less of a man who's been, you know, through domestic violence, you know. It's like, oh, it's a man who's been a victim of domestic violence. I feel like, and don't get me wrong, I'm physically stronger than my ex-wife. I always was. At any point in my physical physique, compared to any part of hers in her entire life, I've always been stronger. But I'm not a violent person. It's funny, I'll play violent video games. I've watched plenty of violent movies. Heck, I've recommended some of the most depraved horror games imaginable to people to Let's Play. But I'm also the kind of person who just pets bunny rabbits and talks to turtles on the side of a bike trail. Heck, when I went over to one of my friends, he had a cat. This is back when I was a teenager. I'd go over there to hang out with him, and his cat would just come over and just start sleeping on me. Heck, one of my aunts, her and her husband, had these two really big, huge dogs. They were like German Shepherds, but they were like really big German Shepherds. And they went somewhere for a week, or I think they had some family member in Kansas or something. I think it's like one of their sons or something. I can't remember. But they were gone for like a week or so, so I was like dog sitting and house sitting, so I was like watering some of their plants and taking care of their dogs. Anyway, one night I let the dogs out to go potty. Granted, you let them out multiple times throughout the day and the night. But it's like one of the times, like, generally don't let them out too much at night. But they really needed to go to the bathroom. But I let them out the time that, my aunt and her husband usually say that's a good time we want the dogs to go out at. So, okay, cool. Let them out, and all of a sudden I hear whining. I'm like, what? I go out there, and one of the dogs is like messing with their face a bit and whining. And I see that there's a dead skunk. I'm like, oh, okay, I understand what happened here. There's a skunk. They obviously killed the skunk, but it sprayed one of them in the face. So I took the dogs, brought them inside, got them away from the dead skunk. Started messing with the computer to look up stuff like how do I treat this, as well as I called on the cell phone. Well, actually, I don't know if I had a cell phone at that time. Can't remember. I called on a phone, but was it a cell phone? If I had a phone at that point, it was probably the flip phone, probably. I don't remember. I was able to call on a phone. Was it just their house phone? Or was it a cell phone? I can't remember. Yeah. I called them up, told them about what happened. I was told about like this one stuff I found online that's basically recommended for cleaning that sort of stuff off of an animal that gets sprayed. And they told me okay, and they gave the okay to use that one stuff, so okay, got a rag. I don't even remember what the mixture was. Made up the mixture, and it's stuff that's safe for dogs. And so then I got down on my knees, started using the rag, and I was cleaning the dog's face and scrubbing the dog's face and trying to get stuff out of the dog's eye, and the dog was appreciating it, to say the least. But while I was cleaning the one dog's face, the other dog saw me cleaning the one dog's face and started cleaning my face. So I'm cleaning the dog that got sprayed in the face with the skunk. I'm cleaning that dog's face, but the other dog is licking me on the cheek. And so the other dog is cleaning my face. So after that, I think in the morning I was able to take him to the vet, just get him double checked. But of course, in the middle of the night, there wasn't any vets or anything, and there was nowhere to. But yeah. And like I said, I was at least able to talk to them on the phone and tell them everything was going on, and gave them another call after that, first updates, and ask them what they want me to do. But yeah, well, I basically did what they thought I should do with that, and that's fine. Though after that, I went outside. I needed to get the skunk out of the area from the dogs, so I picked it up with a shovel and threw it over the fence. Though apparently the next day, the next door neighbor ran over the skunk with a riding lawnmower. which pissed that guy off. But to be fair, my aunt's husband thought that was hilarious because he thinks his neighbor is an asshole. And he thought that was hilarious, and he just wishes that there was a camera so he could watch his neighbor's reaction. So, that's cool. Spent an hour not playing this video game. Well, reading a visual novel. But yeah. Like I said, don't be wrong. There's plenty of beautiful women and such out there. But at the end of the day is this. One, there's no way I could ever financially afford one. Let alone another family. And of course, again, I'm not exactly desirable or wanted, so even if I decided I'm like, oh, okay, getting with a woman's going to result in me dying. Oh well, whatever, I decide I'm horny enough, I don't care. Let's play with boobs. That's still not an option. So at that point, I really don't need to worry about, oh no, what's it going to be like if I'm married to another psychotic, abusive, adulterous person again, when that's really not even an option to begin with, because nobody really could actually want or like me. And everyone who has ever said they liked me were lying. And they had ulterior motives. And they all still betrayed me and cheated on me. And behaved in very unseemly ways. But like I said, one big thing is this. Is just, like, I don't hate women. It's just more like, it's kind of hard to want to try to pursue a relationship with someone when all you can think about is all of the horrible things that are going to happen. Like, oh, what's it going to be like when you go through a divorce with this person? What's it going to be like when they take your children away from you? What's it going to be like when they neglect and mistreat your children? What's it going to be like when they commit domestic violence against you? What's it going to be like coming home every single day to getting yelled at all the time and verbally abused every single fucking day? Just every day you get home from work to where you're the only person working, you pay all the bills, and then you come home, and every time you open the door, it's just immediately getting yelled at and name called and insulted and called horrible things and yelled at, while you have to worry about the safety and well-being of your child, and also worry about your spouse possibly trying to murder you and yelling at you all the time and being violent and throwing things and just cussing and just being violent, and you can't play video games, can't really get any sleep, and the person's psychotic, and the person's cheating on you, and you deal with legal issues, and then society doesn't give a fuck about you. At least as far as if I'm just dating some guy, you know, one, the person's more likely to actually be nice to me. Like, I feel that's like the one big thing is this. It's like, why would it be better to date a guy than a girl? Well, maybe the person will be nicer to me. They won't be mean to me. I could actually be with someone who treats me like a person and actually cares about me. I could actually just have somebody who loves and accepts me. Someone who actually fucking cares about me. So it's so fucking hard that I just, you know, want someone to be nice to me. Is it so fucking unreasonable that I want someone who actually cares about me? Someone I can feel safe around. Someone I don't feel like I need to have to fucking constantly fight with or be competing with, or I need to like somehow constantly always like do something to earn approval from this person, or at any point if I ever fail or, you know, like do or say anything that's considered wrong on anything, like I'm always walking on eggshells, or else this person will suddenly just lose all love and interest for you. Walk on eggshells, or else this person might suddenly become violent. And all of a sudden, oh, who knows? They might suddenly become violent toward you, or they might suddenly decide to become violent toward your child. After all, when you're at work, well, I mean, you can't be there to protect your child then. And of course, you have to wake up early, take care of the kid, and come back, take care of the kid, because if they're not taking care of it, you need to do everything you can to try to make sure that child's well taken care of, at least till they're older, so they can be able to do things on their own enough to where they'll be safe in case of a divorce, where they could be okay for shared custody and stuff, to where, you know, you don't have to worry that, you know, they're so young that they're just going to get hurt or something. They'll at least be able to, like... And again, I know I made the right decision with things just because it kept my child alive. Granted, I don't know what's going to happen in the future. But it's just like... I haven't been able to see my son in person for like 2.5 years or some shit. I haven't been able to hear his voice or talk to him in well over a year. I mean, at the end of the day, is this... What happens if I date another woman? Have more kids taken from me? Go through another divorce? Be in a legally binding contract living with someone who is violent and constantly verbally abusive and physically abusive and cheating on me? Like I said, I mean, on the one hand, yeah, be awesome. It's like, oh, here's a beautiful woman who's got big tits and loves you. Like, that'd be great. But at the same time, I would rather be alone than ever be with anyone like my ex-wife again. Because I was never more alone than when I was married. I was never more lonely than when I was married. And like I said, things at least started okay. I mean, I guess looking back, there was a couple issues here and there, but, you know, I guess I was mainly looking over that because I'd kind of gotten to the point that I felt that I was just going to be alone forever and I was never going to be able to have a wife or a child. And I really wanted to have a family. And I just really wanted, you know, somebody that would love and accept me to a point that I guess I overlooked certain red flags because I just wanted someone to care about me. I saw the one and only. And don't get me wrong, I really did love my ex-wife. I really did love and cherish her. And I really did want to be the best husband I could be. But I can also tell you something I was fully aware of before I even got with her, and even after, you know, now, looking back in hindsight, she was literally the only woman on the planet available for me to marry. If I had not married her, I would have never had a wife. If I had not married her, I would have never had a child. And I'll say this, when I did marry her, I had an expectation, a hope that things would work out. Granted, I always had some worry that things might not. I always worry that everything's going to have some problem. But I still tried my best, even if I can be a bit pessimistic about things. But in general, whether it's the shit that's happened in my life or even my previous relationships, regardless of whatever gender I date in the future, I don't want to talk to them anymore. It's like, whoever I date in the future, whether it's a guy or girl, I don't want them to know that, you know, PTSD, depression. Like, I'm the kind of person, like, if I ever do date someone in the future, like, I'm not going to be letting my partner look at my phone, but it's not going to be because I'm going to be cheating on them or something. It'll be because I'll be like, maybe I don't want them looking up I don't want them to see that I'm looking up stuff about how to deal with depression or PTSD, or if, you know, issues with being a male victim of domestic violence and stuff, is bothering me, and I decide to look up some sort of support stuff on the internet to help with that. You know, maybe I don't want my partner to know any of that. Like I say, whether I date a guy or a girl in the future, I don't want them to know that I was bullied a lot in school or had issues in my very early childhood or have a lot of PTSD and trauma. Maybe I don't want them to know that, like, it's, again, like, I feel like I'm the kind of person, if they were to, like, raise their arm around me, that I'd probably flinch, because I'd expect them to probably hit me, and I don't want to have that conversation, because I feel like they would think less of me as a person, and either they would lose all interest in me because they don't want to date someone who's damaged, or they'd decide to be there with me, but they would be acting out of, like, fucking pity or something. And I don't want the person to be with me because, like, they're just fucking pitying me or some shit. I don't want them to be like, oh, we're going to be nice to Lunar because I feel bad for him. Like, no, I don't want you to feel bad for me. I want you to love me. I don't want you to just be... I want you to, like, be talking to me because you care about me and, you know, you love me and you enjoy being with me. I don't want you to be talking to me nicely because... I want you to talk nice to me because you actually care about me. I don't want you to talk nicely to me because you just feel bad for me. I don't want them to ever feel like, I don't know, worried about how I would take things. Like, obviously, if they have their own issues and they decide a relationship's not working out with me, I don't want them to feel guilty over the idea of, like, well, he's already been through this much. I don't want to, like, break his heart anymore. I mean, yeah, it would still suck, but I don't want my past stuff to be influencing their decisions one way or another. I wouldn't want the person to be, like, leaving me because of it, but also I don't want them to be, like, deciding to stay with me because of how fragile my fucking heart is and how much it's been fucking, like I kind of described, like, I have a fucking blanket that's white and it's got, like, Winter Mickey Mouse Olympics, and it's like, it's a blanket I've had since I was, like, a baby, and it's a big blanket, and it's torn, faded, and got holes in it, just like my soul. And as much as I feel that statement is true, if I ever date anyone, regardless if it's a guy or a girl, I don't want them to know that. I don't want them to base any of their decisions in regards to our relationship off of, well, how fucking damaged and broken is Lunar. It's like, oh, this guy's been through a lot of things that make him really sad, and he's really hurt about stuff, and I mean, that sucks. But it's one thing to talk to the internet people on my channel as a way of me just talking about it, basically, because one very, very guilty thing here is that I'm being selfish. I'm saying it's mainly just my own benefit, but also, who knows, maybe other people might relate to it. But honestly, it would be very disingenuous of me to say that I'm doing this because other people relate to it. I'm doing it because I feel like talking about how I feel about things on the internet to random internet people. I guess to some degree it's, I don't know, see the forest through the trees sort of thing. Basically, understanding that the negative experiences I've had have a bit of a effect on the outlook I have on things. So perhaps feedback from people who either have been through similar things and can understand, or feedback from people whose viewpoint might not be as jaded as mine. I don't know. But it's just... heck. To go beyond that statement of, like, me flinching if someone raised their arm or something, I almost feel like, at this point, like, my own emotional well-being is fucked up as my heart is from everything that's happened. I feel like whoever I date in the future, in addition to them, you know, not being verbally abusive to me or yelling at me or being violent, or, you know, cheating on me or any of that stuff, I almost feel like my own emotional well-being, like whoever I date, like it would be helpful and beneficial to my own psychological health for them just to tell me, not only, you know, on a daily basis of I love you and I care about you, but, you know, reassure me that they won't hurt me or be violent or hit me or try to kill me or cheat on me. Like, it's like one thing, like, okay, whoever I date, like, not only are you not going to cheat on me, but you can also, like, just verbally confirm and reassure to me, like, hey, I'm not going to cheat on you. I value you. I care about you. Like, almost like I'd want someone to give me fucking positive affirmations. Someone just like, hey, it's like, just to remind you, Lunar, you're loved and cared about. I don't know if that sounds... I mean, it definitely sounds pathetic. But I feel like, to a large degree, psychologically, that's probably, to a large degree, what I would need. Like, just whoever I date, just for them to, like, one, not only actually be... definitely, because it would make it worse if they were, like, reassuring me they wouldn't do bad things to me, and then they do the bad things anyway. That's really fucked up. But, you know, one, obviously, whoever I get with, I would hope they don't cheat on me or abandon me or start yelling and screaming at me or become violent. And, you know, I would hope they, you know, are telling me, like, things like I love you and, you know, and other than, you know, of course, lots of sex, but I mean, lots of hugs and hand-holding and just someone who wants to be around me and reassuring me that they, you know, that I have value, that I'm not worthless, that they find me attractive, that they care about me as a person, that, you know, they're glad I'm not dead. That, you know, they actually care about me. To the point that even also, like, reassuring me, like, hey, I would never hurt you. I would never be physically violent toward you. I would never be verbally abusive toward you. I would never cheat on you. I would never break your trust or betray you or hurt you in any way. But of course, at the same time, while I feel that psychologically, honestly, I'm pretty sure I need that. As well as I'm pretty sure I need whoever I date in the future to give me like 100 hugs a day. That being said, I don't think that's a conversation I would ever bring up with them. Though it does make me wonder something. If I ever date somebody and they've had issues, would it be good for me to say those things to them? Because initially offhand, I would think that it would be bad of me to say that to them. Like, even if they wanted me to say that stuff, if I were to just say that stuff, like, would it make them uncomfortable? I mean, obviously, if they wanted me to say those things, I would. And I would absolutely mean it. But at the same time, hold on, I gotta blow my nose. There, that's a lot better. But it's just... I mean, on the one hand, I wouldn't mind saying that kind of stuff for somebody else. But I'm like... I don't know if it'd make the other person uncomfortable or if it'd just be really weird and awkward for them. I feel like if I were to date somebody... and if I were to say, like, the kinds of things that I just said might be psychologically healthy for me... One, even though I would probably need that stuff in order to feel okay, I don't think I'd ever have that conversation with my partner. Because it's like, again, it's one of those things, like, if I do date someone, whether it's a guy or girl, I don't want them to know, you know, of the bad things that I've been through. I don't want them to know about the things, the traumatic things that I've been through. I don't want them to know that. I mean, on the one hand, yes, obviously part of me would feel like I'd want whoever I'm with to fully understand me as a person, and I'd want them to still love and accept me, and I'd want them to be able to go that extra mile to be reassuring to me. Obviously, to some degree, I do want that, but I also feel like I would never... Like, I feel like it would be, I don't know, wrong of me to ever have that discussion with someone. Like, here's a question. Granted, it's non-applicable. It's a moot point, because I'll probably never have another relationship again. So I'll probably just be alone for the rest of my life until I die. But if somebody's in a relationship with somebody, and one of the people in the relationship has been through severe traumatic experiences, should they talk to their partner about it? Or should they just keep everything bottled up? And because heck, that's kind of what I did majority of my life. I kind of just bottled everything up and didn't really talk about my thoughts or feelings on really much of anything. I'll say this. My first major relationship, when that fell apart, granted it wasn't nearly as bad as my marriage, but I still felt really awful about it. And I didn't really understand what had happened or why. And it's just a lot of bad things occur to that, and of course there was other bad things happening in my life at that time too. Like, my eldest sister died. She had a brain aneurysm, and other stuff was happening as well, and I kind of felt a bit emotionally overwhelmed by things, so I did something that you guys might criticize, and that is, I talked to my friends. I talked to my friends about my feelings on the thing, and I talked to my friends that I was sad and that the stuff bothered me. And I'm pretty sure I annoyed all my friends. I still appreciate that they listened to me. But that was a long time ago. And of course, after that relationship, I eventually met my ex-wife, which I thought was going to be a good relationship. I was wrong, but hey, I at least was able to experience being married, and I was able to have a son. And despite some shitty things that happened, I mean, I really did love my wife, at least when I married her, though the main reason I stopped loving her was because, you know, the domestic violence and the adultery and her severe neglect of our child and her being psychotic and violent and yelling at me every day and the verbal abuse and the rape So she also got fat toward the end of the marriage too. But again, if that had been the only thing, then that's fine. It's more so the violence and the mistreatment of me and our child, and the adultery, and the yelling every day, and the constant verbal abuse, and not letting me sleep ever. It's funny, during most of my marriage, it's like, well, I'm working a lot of overtime, and when I'm not work, I'm taking care of our child. And then every time I'm trying to sleep, you're like forcefully waking me up every time I fall asleep, to the point that I'm sleeping so little, I'm actively starting to die from the lack of sleep. She's also the reason I wound up in the ICU for the meningitis and encephalitis, though I didn't know about that being the cause until after we were officially divorced. So, neat little after bit of information to come about. And the funny thing is, despite everything happening, I was still trying to fix that marriage. Though 1 week after we were officially divorced, had to sign some papers for my son to live with her parents. It was the only way to keep her from, well, basically killing our child and disappearing with him and whatever. It's just, she had been bad before, and within the first week of the divorce being official, it got so much. And that's another thing. During most of the marriage, I kept saying, oh, I'll work it, I'll find some way to make things better. And I was saying, okay, I can at least deal with things will get better, things will get better. They did not get better, they just kept getting worse. And like I said, within 1 week after the divorce being official, our son signed to her parents as the only way to basically keep him alive from her. And a week after that, the guy she left me for ditched her. And the week after that, for a total of 3 weeks after we were officially divorced, she was literally begging and groveling for me to remarry her. She was literally asking, oh, we don't even have to go to the church. We can just go straight to the courthouse and immediately get remarried today. And she was so taken aback when I told her no. She really expected me to, and then she kept begging, and then of course it's been a couple years of her back and forth bouncing between begging me to remarry her to threatening to murder me, begging me to remarry her, threatening to cut my dick and balls off, begging me to remarry her, threatening to burn our house, my apartment down, to begging to remarry her, to saying, oh, I don't really have an interest in you anymore, but I would like to live there again, so can I live in our son's bedroom as your platonic roommate, to back again to begging me to remarry her, to threatening to fucking try to kill me and other members of my family. So I was and even old times saying, hey, if we get remarried, we could try to use that legal status of being married again to try to get her son back from her parents. And I'm the whole reason I agreed for our son to be with your parents was to keep you from running away with our child, to keep you from killing our child. I literally made my decision based off of one concept. If I don't agree to this, my son will die. So I made the decision to keep my child alive. And again, why would I want to remarry the person that I'm literally so traumatized by that for a large degree, I would rather just be gay. Don't get me wrong. I have other reasons to though I'd say most of my life I consider myself 100% straight, but yeah, like I said, Kaoru from Evangelion, cute guy, be nice. In general, I definitely do like femboy and futa hentai. But don't get me wrong, women are extremely beautiful. Like Kairi Ushiromiya, very, very sexy. Pretty sure I've met millions of women in the course of my life that I thought were very attractive. Don't get me wrong, I like the overall body frame of a woman. I like a cute face. I like tits. But I don't really find an interest in vaginas. But I definitely do find cock and balls sexually interesting. So, but at that point it's like, okay, so essentially you want a busty tomboy, a tall, beautiful woman who's down to earth, sane, likes to play video games with you, and who would also have a dick and balls, basically. Or at that point, maybe just like a strap on or something. I don't know. I've never been with a woman in, like, with a strap on or something like that. So, that'd perhaps be a bit of a compromise on that, in terms of the gayness, I guess. Again, don't get me wrong, I like both genders. It's just, one side is concerns of issues of dad, and then the other side is like, okay, dating someone with a vagina, it's more so just constant thoughts of, well, what are all the bad things that can happen from this? Losing another family, going through more abuse, being cheated on again. It's like, all of those things hurt a lot. They were very emotionally painful, and they were miserable and awful, and they were humiliating, and they're horrible. And I don't want to go through any of those bad things ever again. Plus, it's just, in general, it's like, it's, again, at a subconscious level, I feel like even if I'm around a woman who's like, oh, that woman's extremely beautiful and everything, yeah, but I'm also going to still feel unsafe around them. Like, it's still like, there's a trauma issue there. To where, like, in general, like, I can't view it as anything other than vaginas equal death. Which, again, I know sounds very weird to anyone listening to this. But it's just, that's the simplest way to put it. It's just the idea, like, okay, this person has a vagina. So a relationship with them is going to result in horrible, bad things happening. So again, I mean, yes, that's psychological issues on my part, but also, to a large degree, it is a societal issue, because here's the thing. Does anybody fucking care about men who, you know, lose their families? Heck, most men can't even get a wife or a family. So it's like, what's the current statistic? That like half of men haven't had sex in over a year? And that majority of men have barely even had a few partners. I will say this, body count matters. But I would say that'd be regardless of gender or sexual orientation. I would say like 50, like when someone's at 50 sexual partners, like I feel like that's a red flag. And I feel like it's like you probably don't want to date that person. But I talked about that more in the 2454G video. It's got a picture of a Stolfo for the thumbnail. But yeah, like I said, in general, it's like, what do I want in a relationship? Someone cute who is very affectionate to me and who would never hurt me. I want someone who's my friend, someone I'm safe around, someone who cares about me, someone who respects me, someone who gives me a lot of hugs, and someone who cuddles, and someone who's cute, and someone I have lots of sex with, and someone I can play video games with, and someone who's smart, but also, not aggressive towards me. I mean, I guess they can be, like, aggressive in terms of competitiveness in, like, sports or something, I guess. But, I mean, they shouldn't be aggressive toward me. Just want someone who loves and cares about me. And it's like I said, no matter what, I would never change my face. I like my face. Granted, I wouldn't date anyone with my face. I don't find it attractive. I'm definitely not my type. But I also feel like every time I'm ever scrolling on my phone, like a YouTube thing, and then I, click that side button to turn the screen off, and you go to that plain black screen, it's reflective, and I see my face in it, and I'm like, oh, right, I'm ugly. It's like, oh, there's a reminder. That's why no one likes you. It's like everybody vomits in their mouth when they look at you. It's like, that's great. That's fucking awesome, I guess. I think I've said before, it's like, oh, if the kind of media you consume affects who you date, I'd be dating Astolfo from Fate, or Sylvia from Konosuba, or Tentacle Hentai, or Kirsha, Verstal, the VTuber. Though I'll say this, all of those would be agreeable toward me. All of those would actually sound like a fulfilling relationship. Though I listed them in order of likelihoodness. So, I listed 4 things. The 4th thing in that list would be the absolute least likely of all 4 of those things to occur. But, yeah, I don't know. It's not like anybody's going to take the time to listen to 2 hours of a man not reading the fucking game he's supposed to be doing a Let's Play of. Didn't even read any of the... I mean, heck, the last video was... Spent a few minutes talking about I was going to be going on a trip to help my niece move some furniture and stuff. And don't get me wrong, it's a good thing on Dad's part for him to do that. And heck, he still works a job himself despite being 77. And I mean, he's good at certain skills. He's good at driving trucks. He's able to parallel park and reverse into the tiniest locations with a fucking big ass fucking truck. He's able to drive vehicles. He's even driven huge construction vehicles and actual dump trucks and backhoes and shit like that over the course of his life. So he knows how to drive big, huge machinery, and he can drive it well. He also can, work with machines. He can, take apart an engine and do an oil change and put an alternator in a car and change tires. He can... There's times he's taken wire clothes hangers and, fixed up a muffler so it won't fall off a vehicle. And of course he can work on things inside a house, whether it be pipes or electronics and stuff. So he's good at that sort of stuff. That's good for him. And again, I'm glad he quit drinking. I'm glad he reads the Bible. I believe in God too. But it's just... He doesn't have to be fucking so condescending about the shit. He doesn't have to be overbearing on it. And most of all is this. Can you just acknowledge I'm a good person? Can you just acknowledge that I'm okay as I am, that I'm not like some sinner that needs to turn to God or something in order to not burn in hell? You do realize that kind of hurts my feelings. Or like the other things that you have said to me that were much, much worse than that. Because like I said, I don't hate him. I want to actually get along with him. I want him and Mom to be happy. But it's just, I feel angry over things that have been said between me and him that I feel disrespected by. And also I in general feel a bit paranoid and jaded over a lot of very negative experiences that have happened over the course of my life that have very much shaped the way I emotionally feel and respond to things, in the regards that I'm very depressed, have low self-esteem, and feel very paranoid and scared and have PTSD of people, to the point that I kind of feel like everyone hates me and wants me to die. And I kind of feel like anytime I'm around anyone, that at any time the person around me is going to start screaming at me, they're going to start yelling at me, they're going to start physically assaulting me. And it's just like, I mean, even if I'm talking to some random person in public, whether it be at work or at Walmart, like there's always that thought in my mind that what if this person, like at any moment, decides to attempt to murder me just now? And again, like I said, it's not out of blue. I mean, that's from past lived experiences. It's just, I'm not sure how to verbally express like an easy way to define that emotion where you feel like everyone around you is going to hurt you. And you just generally feel very anxious around people. Like, I attend various churches. I don't really stay in the same one. I don't want to be like, and I'll revisit a church here and there, but in general, I'll go travel different churches because I'm also trying to like see different people, see how like different groups of people talk about things and how they handle their church. I'm trying to understand other people better. Though honestly, I still felt more comfortable with one thing I did when I was younger, which was when I was real young, I was still like a child at that age. Heck, nowadays, the police also probably would have an issue with someone of that age walking around the town in the middle of the night. But in general, I would walk around, and one, I just like to walk around, go to bike trails and walk around town, but at night, like it'd be like in the middle of the night, like be no cars anywhere, and walk around. Sometimes I'd sit at like a doorstep on the doorsteps and the little staircases in front of certain churches and just read the Bible there under a street light in the middle of just the empty street. Or I'd go up to the church, put my back against the door, and put my head against the door and just sit there quietly with my eyes closed, trying to like listen for any noise coming from inside the church. Basically, I'm just trying to eavesdrop on God. I'm just trying to overhear God in the church in the middle of the night. Though I couldn't do that nowadays because there's cameras everywhere and people would probably think I'm trying to break into a fucking church or something. But it's just, I definitely don't like the church that my dad goes to, just because, one, they had way overly long church services, and two, just certain behaviors of both dad and the pastor made me feel like I believe in God, but I don't feel like God has anything to do with them. Like, I don't feel like God and Jesus has anything to do with them or their church. Plus, in general, just the general behavior of those people seemed greedy, vain, aggressive, violent, impulsive, invasive, inappropriate, uncomfortable. And it's just... And now, granted, I'll attend other churches and I'll go there as a visitor and I'll just try to like see how the places are different. Because again, I'm seeking God, but I'm also trying to understand the way other people are. Like, what is normal for this group of people? What's normal for that church? What's normal for this church? Like, what are other people like? I'm trying to understand people. But at the same time, it's fucking terrifying going around a group of people. Especially also, again, being, you know, a guest and everybody's new. And, of course, they're probably taking a bit of notice of you because you're the random new person in their building. Obviously, they have every right to be, you know, curious. But at the same time, I feel very, shy about that. Very timid, very, and I do my best to, not show anxiety and nervousness. But let's be clear, going anywhere sociable or public is extremely unnerving for me. Whether it be a church or a concert. I went to plenty of concerts when I was younger, huge concerts. I've enjoyed the music, and I did my best to be sociable about that stuff, and I even went to parties, but I definitely felt very, very out of place and uncomfortable in regards to all that stuff. I remember watching a ton of Bobaflex concerts and getting in mosh pits and stuff when I was younger. Definitely couldn't do mosh pits anymore. My knees, at least they don't hurt as much as I did with the previous job, but in general, I don't think I would do well in a mosh pit anymore. I don't think my body would handle. I think I'd break something. But I was still a bit socially anxious about that. Heck, I'll tell you this. At one point, I considered the idea, if I ever got good at my guitar, maybe I can start a band or something. But one thing that definitely occurred to me is this. It doesn't matter how good I could ever be. I would not feel comfortable being on a stage in front of people. I would be so fucking uncomfortable with that. And that's I'll tell you this, one of the biggest things I had as a, thing discouraging me from attending a church or going into a church again was just how uncomfortable I am in terms of the social situation of that. Going into a place where okay, there's these people, here's this place of a couple hundred people here, and I'll tell you this, regardless, even if it was a church I went to every Sunday, I would still feel uncomfortable too, and it'd still be I'd feel very anxious about it. So it's definitely a bit of a nervousness of going anywhere that's got people. Granted, I'll try to force myself to go to places that have people in it. One, because I'm trying to understand other people, and two, I'm trying to be sociable. And also, just trying to just get out of that comfort zone, so to speak. But at the same time, it's just... It's a really big deal for me to be going out there and to groups of people to where okay, there's all these people everywhere, and it definitely feels very uncomfortable, and it's definitely a big emotional hurdle for me, and I don't think it's noticeable to other people. I think I do a good job of hiding that. But it is a big deal for me, even if I do a good job of hiding it in public. It's kind of like the thing where I'm at Walmart and I'll see a woman go around pushing like a shopping cart or a stroller with a baby in it, and the baby's crying, and I'll feel emotional over, or like there's a guy there with his child, and the child's like standing next to him saying, "Daddy, Daddy, can we get my daddy?" And I'm like, I'm just standing there. I'm not expressing any emotions. I'm just standing there reading the cans of Spam, deciding what flavor of Spam can I'm going to buy. But emotionally, even all these years and years later, I feel like I want to drop to my knees and start screaming and crying in public and just breaking down. Like, it's... I know I keep saying I'm going to try not to talk about this anymore. I've talked about this stuff so much already. I shouldn't bother people anymore. But it's just... it's always going to bother me. I'm always going to feel really sad and emotionally devastated over that. I lost my family. I don't have my son. The people I trusted betrayed me. The people I was supposed to feel safe around turned into actual fucking monsters. And my precious baby was taken away from me. I didn't get to raise my child. And I feel like whenever I ever see my child ever again, even though I will always love him, I feel like our bond's been destroyed. I feel like he's probably been raised into a person I wouldn't even recognize. And I feel like the personality he's probably going to, or probably already even developed, is nothing like the personality I would have raised him to have. And granted, yes, I understand I have my emotional issues. But I would have done everything I could to be a kind, loving, supportive father. I realized everything that I felt upset about growing up, and I wanted my child to not feel that way. And I feel like my opportunity to raise my child was stolen away from me. That my son was stolen from me. I'm pretty sure he probably hates me. But like I said, out of all the people on the planet, I love my mom the most. I love my mom very, very much. And I feel like I have the most bond with my mom out of anyone in the world. Though I usually probably see her maybe once or twice a month. And I'll usually give her like a 5-second hug. Though it's generally me leaning over her while she's like sitting and I'm giving her a hug, and I appreciate my mom. My mom has been there for me in a lot of things. Heck, when I had the bladder surgery like 3 years ago, my mom was over here. She spent 3 days, 3 nights over here. She went with me to the surgery and all that. Didn't really want to have the surgery, but again, it was one of those things the doctor's like, yeah, you have a stricture in your bladder. If you don't get this fixed, you're going to die. And well, I don't know if you guys agree with this or not, but dying's inconvenient and I'd rather not do that. I may be depressed, but I appreciate my life and I don't want to die. Would like it if certain things were better, though. A tall, busty futa waifu would be nice. Just giant, big titties to play with. Yes. Just being as awkward to everyone as possible. But yeah, back when I was 12, me, Mom, and Dad were in a car accident. I was on the passenger side, and a car hit that side, and my mom leaned over me. Definitely saved my life, but we all got knocked unconscious for a bit, and then, of course, when we came to, Mom had part of her forehead cut open. So, I appreciate that she did that. Me and her have had a bit of dark humor to deal with things. I've made the joke about it being like, oh, there was a school play of Bride of Frankenstein, it'd be great for you. But that's just dark humor and people trying to distance ourselves from things that are legitimately fucking terrifying. Because I'll tell you this, I love my mom very, very much. And I really do deeply appreciate that she, saved me in that situation and got hurt in my place like that. But at the same time, being a 12-year-old and looking up at your mom to where like her forehead is cut open and you see the white of her skull, it's kind of a scary feeling, and it makes you feel sad, and it feels very uncomfortable. Because you're like, oh, is Mom going to die? I can see her bones. And that made me feel sad. Though I'm sure it made her feel sad too, because, she was probably kind of in pain from that. And probably a bit scared too, but it's just, I do appreciate that she did that. Heck, I appreciate her, like me and her would sit and play Mario 1 and Mario 3 and Spyro the Dragon. She'd cook a lot of food homemade, and I'd sit in the kitchen and talk to her. And not only did I appreciate she cooked food, and the food was good, but I was talking to her when she would be cooking in the kitchen, and I just enjoyed spending time with my mom. And of course, there's sometimes she sat and played with like little toy cars and stuff with me when I was real young, and I do appreciate that. Heck, she was there with me a lot of stuff, and taking me to scout meetings, and being there for me stuff and helping me with certain things. Like I was definitely really good at math and stuff, but sometimes when I wrote an essay for school, she'd have to reorganize it, because I definitely do something called disorganized speech, so the way I write things winds up just being a convoluted mess, I guess. But I would still write things, and she'd just reorganize it. And a lot of times she'd type it out, because like I said, we had a typewriter and we couldn't really afford, use all the ink if any mistakes were made. And use whiteout on everything. Because like I said, we had a typewriter. But I appreciate my mom. I love my mom very, 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 very much. And I love and trust her more than anyone else on the planet. And to a large degree, I feel like my mom is the only person I have in this whole world. I feel like if I look at the whole world, I feel like my mom is the only person I have. And I feel like if I didn't have my mom anymore, I wouldn't have anyone. I'd be completely alone in this world. To a large degree, I feel like my mom is the only person who actually cares about me on this entire planet. I do appreciate I do value the bond I have with her, and I consider every memory I have of her precious. And yes, there's been some negative issues between me and her, but I don't look at her through rose-colored glasses. I acknowledge all of her faults and flaws, and I love her in spite of them. And I wouldn't trade her for any other mom in the world. And to a large degree, I feel like what I want to do is I just want me and her to sit and play Mario 1 on the NES again. You know, I think the next time I have the opportunity, if I can ever go to like a Barnes & Noble again or something, I think I'll try to find books by that Knox person and books by this SS Van Dyne person. Because my mom does like to read books as well. And, well, she tends to watch shows like Matlock and Perry Mason. So, I think she'd actually like these kinds of detective novels. Though I might have to buy 2 copies. Because I think I'd want to read it too. I love my mom very much. And I appreciate her. Despite everything that ever happened. I consider her precious and irreplaceable. I love her very, very much. About 8.5, 9 years ago, she had 3 strokes and an aneurysm. She thankfully made a full recovery after 4 months, but it was a miracle it happened in the public location it did, so she got rushed to the hospital immediately. If it had happened when she was at home or anything, she would have never survived. So the doctors told her she had to quit smoking, or else she'd die, and, well, smoking's a hard habit to kick, and she basically went immediately straight back to smoking when she got released from the hospital, which was like weeks later. Granted, the first few months out of the hospital, she was still struggling a bit with, walking and talking and even be able to open her eyes correctly. She also had to have a bit of brain surgery. But after 4 months, she basically made a complete and full recovery. And I'm grateful for that. I'm glad my mom is still alive. But I know eventually, heck, Mom and Dad have already picked out their tombstones. And heck, I'll tell you this, as much as I have issues with my dad, I don't want him to die. I don't love him. I mean, don't get me wrong, if he has a surgery or something, I feel worried about him. And if he's like out of breath or something, I feel bad for him and I feel concerned for him. And like if he were like try to fall or something like that, I'd try to catch him. I don't wish any harm on him, and I generally want to get along with him. I want to be respectful toward him. I want him to not be a fucking asshole. I mean, well, especially if I were to like date someone he doesn't approve of or whatever, I'm like, is it so much to ask that I just want to be happy? I just want a loving relationship with someone who cares and nice to me. So, Would it be that much to ask that he just be okay with the idea that I just want someone to care about me and to be kind to me? That I just want, like, I should be allowed to have a fucking relationship. It's not like I'm doing it out of, like, fucking rebellion to try to defy you or God. I'm just doing it because I want someone to care about me, and I want to be happy and not fucking miserable. I'm sorry my need for love and emotional support, I don't know, is somehow evil. But like I said, I mean, and of course, like I said, whenever he dies, Mom, like I said, they won't be able to keep that place anymore, so Mom will need a place to live. And I'll be honest, I really don't want Mom to live in the same place as me, because I definitely see some negatives of that. Like, I feel like there's certainly some negatives that I've already gone into on that. But when it all comes right down to this, I love my mom. And I absolutely would not let her be homeless. And heck, even if there's a point where, like, she's, like, struggling to move or do stuff, I would want to try to take care of her and make her as happy as possible. But of course, she's literally made the comment that if she's ever unable to do stuff on her own, that she would just want to be put down or something. And it's like, that's a depressing conversation. But it's just like, I love my mom very much. And I definitely do want to try to spend more time with her. And I want to make the most of the time we do have left. And I want her to be happy. And I want to spend time with her. And of course, if she needed help with certain things, I want to help her. I care about her. Heck, she cared for me when I was young, and I certainly wouldn't mind returning the favor. You know? I love her and care about her, and I'd want to, you know, care about someone who's precious to me. I certainly wouldn't abandon her or forsake her in time of need, and I certainly wouldn't want her to suffer or to die. Granted, there'd be some conflicting emotions in regards to the fact that you're watching someone you love and cherish, someone who, you know, raised you when you were a little child, and now you're watching them decay. You're watching someone who is the most precious person to you in the world shrivel and decay, and you're watching them die in slow motion. And it's just, that thought makes me feel sad, and I'm not sure how well else to articulate that. I guess the main thing to say is, I love my mom very, very much. And I hope she understands how much she means to me. Well, I suppose I should end the video. We didn't even get to play the game or anything. I should stop bothering everyone. Later.